thank you for your patience. Welcome to April 15th, 2021 meeting of our Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency in this historic chambers. Procedures for public comment will be explained by the City Attorney shortly. The members of the CRA appearing for this meeting are Commissioner Joe Carollo, Commissioner Manolo Reyes, Commissioner Ken Russell, and myself, Jeffrey Watson, Chair. Also appearing are Executive Director Neil Shiver, Assistant City Attorney George Wysong, and the City Clerk Todd Hannett. I'd like to ask, because I think it's important, Commissioner Reyes, give us our prayer.
Yes. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to serve our people and to be able to be together doing our duty. Please, Lord, guide us in the right path so we can benefit those that need it the most. In your name, we're going to be working, and I know that we're going to receive your blessing. In the name of the Father, Holy Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Pledge allegiance. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Ready? I'm going to call it the order. Call the meeting to order. Time 10:43 a.m.
Any person may be heard by the CRA through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the public notice for not more than 2 minutes on a proposition before the CRA unless modified by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may also do so by submitting their written comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com. Meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been distributed to the elected officials and CRA administration throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider their comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials up until the chair closes public comment. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this meeting and will be considered by the CRA prior to any action taken. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall, located at 3500 Pan American Drive, subject to any and all COVID-19 rules, regulations, and procedures. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any person exhibiting any symptom of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by state, county, local emergency orders and are urged to practice social distancing. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the CRA takes action on the proposition. When addressing the CRA, the member of the public must first state his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. Section 286.0114, parentheses 4, parentheses C, specifically authorizes the city to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of the desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The CRA, through its multiple comment options, has provided different methods to indicate, among other things, a public support, opposition, or neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at this CRA meeting. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by CRA staff on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the CRA for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or viewed online at www.miamigov.com. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you. Do you agree with these procedures, sir?
As a result of 4 members being present, we do have a quorum. Are there any minutes from previous meetings to be approved?
Chair, no, sir.
I'll open the floor to public comments. All public comments should be on the agenda items as approved today. And the city clerk will keep 2-minute time period for comments.
Anybody who wants to be heard on any item on the agenda, they have opportunity now to come before the board, and you have 2 minutes.
Ms. Renata Cunningham, that's Cunningham. My address is 1945 Northwest 5th Place. I am the current president of Town Park Plaza North Condo Association. I am here to speak on behalf of the owners and residents in the community. I would first like to say we thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to take advantage of the project to bring our property up to par with respect to certifications and different aspects of the community that the association would not have been able to facilitate on its own. And we want to make sure that you guys understand the importance of bringing the remainder of the property up to par. We still have 40 owners that are not back home with respect to the construction project. And I'm here today because I want to be able to assure those residents that you guys are going to make sure that everything is done to bring our property back to par and to bring our owners back to the community.
Thank you.
Could you repeat that?
I say, is there any other thing you need to say? Want to say?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shamika Cheeks. I live in Overtown. My address is...
Oh, I'm sorry,
You
Chair.
might need to repeat your name again because it wasn't clear.
Okay.
So she a little nervous, so she in
Right.
training. So
Don't
I'm
be
standing
nervous.
next to her 'cause
We
she
both in training. This is my first meeting as chair. Don't be nervous.
My name is Shamika Cheeks. I live in Overtown. My address is 1177 Northwest 8th Street Road, Miami, Florida, 33136. And I'm representing Overtown Business Resource Center, NANA Association. I'm speaking on item 3. On item 3, the Emergency Relief and Recovery Program for eligible small businesses within the Southeast Overtown Park West CRA redevelopment area. I would like for y'all to support that item.
Okay, thank you. If I do it half as good as you, I'll be all right.
Good morning, Leroy Jones from Neighbors and Neighbors Association. 1490 Northwest 3rd Avenue, Suite 106, the Overtown Resource Center. Asking this board to approve item 3, the recovery funding for small businesses. As you know, small businesses been getting really beat up these last year and a few months. But before then, they've been having a difficult time. And so we ask you to support this item so that we can support the small businesses in the Overtown area. Thank you.
Any more public comments?
My name is Kerry Johnson. My location is 29 Northwest 52nd Street, City of Miami. Yes, I'm here today because I sent over to Jeffrey Watson and to the city mayor my official document about what is being done for landlords, which when it comes down to that form that you sent out, if the tenant does not fill out the form correctly or does not submit the form, landlords are not being paid. I have quite a few tenants, about 4 tenants that haven't paid me. They've been living in the property for over a year that haven't paid me any funds. I mean, I still have property taxes and other things to pay, but I haven't been collecting the funds because nobody's been paying me, okay? So I went and I sent out my pamphlet to everybody that of importance, like Joe Biden, to the CDC director, to the governor, and they always send it back down to where the city is. So the thing is that I'm trying to find out because CDC says you can't evict people out until June. I just had an eviction done just last week on somebody that had been living in my property for over a year and 2 or 3 months, never received any money from them. They never filled out the paperwork, and I gave them the paperwork 2 or 3 times. I'm out of my money over $38,000 that I'm waiting to get paid to pay my taxes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm bringing this here today, because I'd like to know who's going to be responsible.
All right, let me say this right quick, and I'll reserve the right to do that. All the public comments are going to be on the agenda of the Southeast Parkwest Overtown CRA. That's not a part of that. However, that's about rent eviction, and I'm going to have somebody in my staff talk to you and tell you how to get that resolved, okay?
They told me to come here today. That's why I'm here.
Okay,
That was part of your staff,
okay, all right.
okay?
Then we'll take care of it. Thank you.
Chairman,
Okay, you're welcome.
Yes, sir.
can I just ask a question, sir? Sir, just a quick question. Did you go through the landlord referral form where you can submit, you don't have to wait for the tenant to submit, you can submit as the landlord? We have that on our website.
I didn't get those forms because usually when something goes on, everything so far with Dade County and with the city, it pertains to the tenant filling out the forms and submitting all the forms, okay? I haven't seen any forms or paperwork stating where the landlord can submit those forms.
Yes, so we have it here. It's called the landlord referral form. And I'll make, and the chair, through the chair, maybe the clerk or
Okay,
administration can help you get directly to that so you can control the process.
Right, okay, I mean, I would need some information on where that would be located at.
We'll absolutely help you with that. The staff.
Yeah, we'll get it to you.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, is there any public comments via email?
No, sir.
Then I'll turn the meeting over to the Executive Director for discussion.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Southeast Overtown Parkwest CRA board members. Neil Shiver, Executive Director of the Southeast Overtown Parkwest CRA. I'm supported by one of the best staffs in the country. That also includes the Omni CRA too, Commissioner Russell. At the last meeting, this board directed the CRA to bring back a discussion item on 3 major rehabilitation projects. Those projects being Town Park Plaza North, Town Park Plaza South, and Town Park Plaza Village. So before I discuss those and before we read all the resolutions into the record, I would like to have less than a 10-minute presentation on those 3 town parks, including the Southeast Overtown Parkwest CRA housing initiatives. You want to start the PowerPoint? It'll be very short. We'll try to keep it distinct. On your screen, you will see what we have classified as the Southeast Overtown Parkwest CRA Housing Development Report. And if you look to the left, you'll see that there are 23 items on this report. What you'll also see on this report, it has 3 different color codes. If you look at the green represents housing projects that have been completed within the Southeast Overtown Parkwest CRA redevelopment area. The blue are projects that are currently in progress, and I guess that's orange, are projects that are planned in the future. If you combine all 3 of those colors, we have 4,099 projects what we consider in the pipeline. And what you mean by pipeline, that means projects that have either been completed, in progress, or in the planning stages. I would like to amend that number from 4,099 to actually 5,604. And how do I get to 5,604? If you go down to item 22, 21 and 22, 21 is Como Springs, Como Place, and Como Gardens, which are public housing developments, and 22 is Rainbow. Developers have been selected for both of those sites, and in the Como Place, Como Gardens, the units will be around 1,500 units, and it'll be around 1,500 units for Rainbow, so that gives us additional 1,125 units in the pipeline for 5,604 units. Why is that significant? On the agenda today, line items 13, 14, and 15 are our Town Park Plaza North, Town Park Plaza South, and Town Park Plaza Village projects that we will be now giving you a report on. On number 13, Town Park Plaza North, there are 169 units. Back in 2015, this board tasked the CRA with doing a complete gut rehabilitation of that former HUD development that has now, in their infinite wisdom, have become a condominium. And so in that condominium association, to date, we have completed, I think, 135 units, Brian?
130.
We have 130, and we need additional $5 million to complete the project. There was a general contractor that commenced this project. This project initially, commissioners, was supposed to take 3 years. We budgeted our relocation program on a 3-year project. In essence, it's 20 buildings, maybe 10 to 15 residents in each building. And we were told, and we relied on the representation that these buildings would be done in 3 to 4 months. In actuality, some buildings took a year, and some people were out of their units maybe close to 2 years. That in and of itself became problematic, not so much to the construction cost, but it blew our relocation cost out, just blew it out of the orbit. If you add up the units at Town Park Plaza North, Town Park Plaza South, and Town Park Plaza Village, we were tasked with relocating close to 1,300 individuals. Commissioners, board members, that was a major task. It was a major task because most residents did not want to leave Overtown. We had to relocate the individuals because the game plan was when we go in to do these rehabs, we would shut all the buildings down. We would turn off the electricity, we would turn off the water. Some residents were reluctant to leave, and our relocation costs are probably amount for the majority of the money that we need to complete this project. We have since, well, the homeowners association has since terminated the general contractor. We have a general contractor on the ground working today. And by the way, Commissioner Reyes, they have given us a guaranteed price on the construction. What they cannot guarantee is relocation costs. But they will guarantee that they will complete this project at those costs as it relates to construction. Relocation, they can't guarantee it because that is a function of time. Anything can happen that can delay these projects, but it will not increase the construction cost. The last thing I'll say about this sheet before I let Brian finish the presentation. When we get up in front of the community and say that Overtown is not being gentrified, that story is told in this sheet. The 3 housing developments, North, South, and Village, are mandated to take in low, moderate, Section 8, and elderly residents. And as you know, on 21 and 22, Como Place and Rainbow, they are also mandated to take in low, moderate, and Section 8 residents. So as we put money into these 6 developments, that acts as a safety net to make sure that no one from Overtown will have to leave as a result of the transformation, as a result of the new development that's going on in Overtown. I rushed through it, but this sheet, it shows the success of this leadership with the exception of that one project that we would consider an exception to the good work that we have done in our housing strategy. And I'm gonna turn it over to you now, Brian. And if any page that you don't think is relevant, just skip through it.
Okay. Thank you, Neil. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and other board members. My name is Brian Zeltzman. I'm the Director of Development. It's my pleasure to give you an update on the status of these 3 projects. I just moved to the next slide, which goes along with the slide Neil was talking about, but it highlights some of the numbers there. I realize it's hard to read. So we'll jump into the update now. This image is really just to provide some context. The 3 projects that we're talking about today are located in that pink area. This is from our 2018 redevelopment plan. You can see in the background in that pink area the intersection of I-95 and I-395. And on the next slide here, we're zooming into that area. And this gives you more or less a description of the location and the areas. So first off is Town Park Plaza North, the area in red. It's a condominium with 169 units. This is spread out on, it's 19 residential buildings. The CRA allocation for this project was $22.5 million. That did include construction and relocation. And at this time, as I mentioned, we're at 130 of the 169 units are complete. That means that 39 units have started but have not been completed, and those that represent families out of their homes at this time. Another way to put that is 14 out of those 19 buildings have been completed. Moving to the south, adjacent to that is Town Park Plaza South. That remains today a HUD co-op with 116 units. CRA allocation was $16.4 million, and it does say here full completion expected in May 2021. I'm happy to report that I just found out yesterday there's now one building remaining, and so 10 families will be moving back in the next couple of weeks. So we're pretty much there on this project. And Town Park Village, to the south of that, the official name is Town Park Village Number 1, is also a HUD co-op with 147 units. The CRA has allocated $18 million for this project, and this project has just recently begun. We're beginning this project with a pretty aggressive first phase of 49 units that includes 7 buildings. And part of the reason we're able to make that happen is because Town Park South is coming back online, so that frees up some relocation units for us to do this. On the next slide, we're going to talk briefly about each of the 3 projects and show some photos. This is an exterior photo of Town Park North prior to the work being done, taken about 5 years ago. It's a pleasant image, but of course, sometimes on the interior, it can paint a different picture, and that's what I'm showing here. Obviously, these were a vacant unit, but this mold and leaks were common. I can assure you that even though this unit was vacant, there was a family living next door to this image with this mold. So what are we doing at Town Park Plaza North? Well, as Neil mentioned, there is a relocation component. That's probably the most challenging component of the project. But in terms of the work, we're pretty much doing everything we can. It's site improvements, it's all new water and sewer infrastructure. Something unique about Town Park Plaza North being a condominium, they were originally served by just one water meter for the whole complex, and that obviously caused issues for the association and significant expenses. So part of our project was to include 169 individual water meters connected with water and sewer accounts. Along that, sidewalk improvements, fencing, landscaping, we did install a new playground as well. We've completed metal roof replacement on all of the buildings. We've also completed impact windows and doors on all of the buildings. And we did try to change the facade to provide a new look. On the interior, it is a full gut rehab after the families move out. Asbestos is removed and demolition occurs down to the structure. And from then on, it's relatively all new construction, including drywall and framing and AC systems, HVAC systems, plumbing, electrical, and new finishes. So this is some images from some completed units at Town Park North. And moving on to Town Park South, again, a picture before. These projects were built in the early 70s. Interior, similar issues as Town Park Plaza North. Leaks were common, rotted wood. There is asbestos in just about every unit. We've taken care of that. What we're doing at Town Park Plaza South is a similar scope. There are slight differences. There was no need for the individual water meters here, but we're still addressing sewer lines, asphalt parking, drainage, perimeter fencing. Site lighting was important to this project. It was in need. It's a different design. The original buildings were designed differently. In this complex, this has a flat roof, but we did replace the roof on all the buildings. And we're updating the facade as well to provide a new look. Again, the interior gut rehab is a similar scope with all new construction on the interior. Some images here of a completed unit and the new look on the exterior. Moving to Town Park Village, this is the one that's just getting started. Sure.
We can stop at South because
Okay.
we haven't started Village. So Village,
I got you. So I'll just go to the last slide.
All right, cool.
Okay, so Commissioners, the last slide here is where we're at in terms of north and south. I mentioned Village is just getting started. 76% complete at north, 130 out of 169, as I mentioned. This is the additional funding required to complete the project, and that's one of our agenda items today. As for south, as I mentioned, we're very close to completion, and again, there's the number required to complete. And that concludes my update.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would have our in-house counsel read all the agenda resolutions into the record, and then I'll turn the meeting back over to you, Mr. Chairman, and you can discuss any item. But the items, two of the items you just heard about, Town Park North, where we need additional money, and Town Park South, which is on, those increases are needed strictly because of the COVID impact on the project and the cost of materials and supplies. But for the most part, that project is completed. So it'll be changing colors very soon within the next month. And I want to remind you on the board that on the Town Park Plaza South, you're familiar with this project because we had about 20 or 25 units that were completed in May and June, and this board had to pass an emergency resolution in December to get those families back in their homes. That was the Town Park Plaza South project. Again, it should be complete, 100% complete within the next 30 days. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I have in-house counsel read into the record all the resolutions that we seek your authorization, and then I'll turn the meeting back over to you, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
Good, more.
Mr. Chair, before you do that, I only have a question because I
Colleague
think we
recognized.
could, once the council reads all the resolution, we could just have one vote on everything unless anybody wants to pull some out.
Yes.
Mr. Executive Director, the funding allocations that we have in all these resolutions, and particularly the two biggest ones, which is number 2 and number 3, we have the funding for that presently?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's the only question that I had.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
As I was, I want to add that yesterday when Mr. Shriver was, we had a good conversation. He was briefing me on all this. And I want to point out that some mistakes were made before and on one of these projects, but all the measures have been taken that will never happen again. And I congratulate you, Mr. Shriver and Mr. Chair, for your due diligence on trying to get these projects finalized and provide the much needed housing units in that area. And that was my only comment.
Commissioner Rose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Director. I am comfortable with this investment. It's a big investment, and it's a big change, but when you divide it over the number of units, over 400 units being affected, and my back-of-the-napkin math estimates about $115 a square foot for this renovation as a whole. And this change of $5 million would add about $11 a square foot to that renovation. It's just an estimate. But with that, I'm very comfortable because this sort of level of preservation of housing and seeing the state that they were in before, this is transformational for people's lives. They won't have to move out, and I'm very supportive of the items, so thank you.
And I want to thank the board for your support on behalf of the residents of Overtown. This was a huge endeavor, and at no fault to them, they relied on this organization to get this done. And I want to thank you for your support. It is well needed and well appreciated. Thank you.
Let me say this right quick as you read these items into record. I think that, unfortunately, in this environment of disparate governments, a lot of times it's misunderstood, and even sometimes for my colleagues to understand the significance of what has been done. And of course, we have city employees who live in these projects, and projects as a project, but not projects as an entity. And clearly, I did not understand the strategy before, and then it was explained to me. I can tell you that, unfortunately, most of our citizens who live in HUD-owned projects, keep in mind, they're HUD-owned projects. They're not city projects. They're not city-owned property. They're not even, and HUD being the federal government HUD, Dade County only manages these properties, okay? They don't even own them. 20 years ago, they zeroed out the money for physical improvements of buildings that probably should have all been torn down, but to tear them all down around the country would be billions of dollars. And guess what? They house the lower of the economic income stream, Commissioner Reyes, those we fight for dearly, and consequently, you need other alternatives in order to move to get people, even those at the lower end, an opportunity to own. And so here's where we are. Maybe not a perfect solution, definitely not a perfect execution. However, as we grapple at the city in trying to provide affordable housing to residents, if you look at the numbers, with $100 million, they produced about 5,000 units. I don't want to get too far out committing to HUD more money, but clearly we should look at some of these solutions in order to come to an idea of what we need to do. There would never be in this country an opportunity for HUD-owned facilities to turn around and allow people of a lower economic income stream to own either condo or co-op. Co-op is hard in this environment, but more a financiable real estate entity in the upper Northeast. But for people to own, and that's an enormous opportunity. And this board, CRA, and members of this board over the years have done a great job in supporting the staff and trying to come up with solutions that we're still grappling with as we now have very high land costs and not necessarily increasing incomes so that we can help people with their financial health. Okay? And I just wanted to put that on the record. I also want to figure out, Madam Attorney, before you read that, in being able to provide this money, I want to add $150,000 to it because I want to find out what happened before and give the opportunity so that if we have to do something to recoup monies that were not done properly, we can do that as well. So instead of $5 million, I'd like to see how we correct that to be $5,150,000, okay? As we move towards trying to make sure that we have that.
Could you repeat that? Because I didn't.
I want to go ahead and prepare for ensuring that whatever we need to do in order to make sure we are covered for understanding what happened, if there's something we should now address, we have the funding already now in place to do that. So the number should read from $5 million to $5,150,000.
Okay.
So it's an amendment, if you will.
We'll amend it.
Okay.
So shall we read it now, the resolution in the record?
Yes, you can.
And Chair, my apologies. Mr. Executive Director, which item is being amended?
Number,
Is that
Number one.
number two.
number 2? Understood.
He's adding another $150,000 to the item. And so
Understood.
as such, we're going to read all the items. We're going to docket these items.
You can proceed.
We're going to docket these items, read it. Let's see how fast you can read.
Starting with item number 2, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing additional funding to the Town Park Plaza North Condominium Association Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $5,150,000 for the completion of the affordable housing rehabilitation project at the Town Park Plaza North Condominium located at 1945 Northwest 5th Place, Miami, Florida 33136, authorizing the Executive Director to execute all documents necessary for said purpose. Further, authorizing the Executive Director to disburse funds at his discretion on a reimbursement basis or directly to vendors upon presentation of invoices and satisfactory documentation. Item number 3, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing additional funding to Top Park Plaza South Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $660,938.31 for the completion of the affordable housing rehabilitation project at the Town Park Plaza South, authorizing the Executive Director to execute all documents necessary for the said purpose. further authorizing the executive director to disperse funds at his discretion on a reimbursement basis or directly to vendors upon presentation of invoices and satisfactory documentation. Item number 4, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing funding for a COVID-19 Emergency Relief and Recovery Program in an amount not to exceed $250,000 for eligible small businesses within the redevelopment area, authorizing the executive director to execute all documents necessary for said purpose, further authorizing the executive director to disperse funds at his discretion on a reimbursement basis or directly to vendors upon presentation of invoices and satisfactory documentation. Item number 5, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency ratifying an expenditure of funds in the amount of $15,057.01 to underwrite costs associated with the 12th annual Overtown Holiday Tree Lighting Ceremony held on December 15, 2020 in the redevelopment area. Item number 6 is amended to read as follows. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency and Lyric Development LLC and Knox and Lyric LLC, TA Larga Vista Companies for 7,000 square feet of retail and or commercial space at the Lyric Point, located at 101 Northwest 8th Street, Miami, Florida 33136, and an allocation of funds for the annual lease amount of $280,000, plus the proportionate share of taxes, insurance, and CAM charges. Item number 7, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the build-out of 7,000 square feet of the leased retail and or commercial space at the Lyric Point located at 101 Northwest 8th Street, Miami, Florida 33136, and an allocation of funds for the build-out in an amount not to exceed $700,000. Item number 8, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing a grant to Brandano Displays Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $96,495 to underwrite costs associated with the installation and maintenance of tree lighting within the historic Overtown Culture and Entertainment District. Item number 9, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing a grant to Urban Philanthropies Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to underwrite costs associated with the renovations to the Urban, a food and entertainment venue located at 1000 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida 33136. In the historic Overtown Culture and Entertainment District, authorizing the executive director to execute all documents necessary for said purpose, further authorizing the executive director to disperse funds at his discretion on a reimbursement basis or directly to the vendors upon presentation of invoices and satisfactory documentation. Item number 10, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Redevelopment Agency authorizing 2 sponsorships in an amount not to exceed $20,000 for support of For Camillus House's 11th annual The Auction on Cork and Unwind fundraiser as a Magnum corporate sponsor, and their 21st annual Hope for All Gala as a corporate sponsor, authorizing the executive director to execute all documents necessary for said purpose. Item number 11, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing service of a quiet title lawsuit regarding the Lawson Edward Thomas's Overtown Law Office, the Lawson Building, located at 1021 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida 33136, further authorizing the executive director at his discretion to execute the necessary documents to effectuate this purpose.
Thank you. That is the agenda.
Amendments were made to the titles of item number 2, item number 6, and item number 10.
Like a motion, Mr. Chairman. I'm asking if you'd.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was going to have to say something. Is there a motion to move the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Reyes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda items passed. They're shaking their head. It must be over. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, Chair, you may indicate that the meeting is now adjourned.
Meeting come to adjourn.
Nice work, Chairman.